Hello, everyone. It is January 11th, and welcome to Mondays with Emily. Our topic of discussion this week is stress and anxiety. This information was going to be provided in an in-service I was planning for April of 2020 regarding school bus drivers and job burnout. However, COVID changed those plans, but I still want to share with you some of what I learned. Did you know that being a school bus driver is considered a high-risk job? And that is outside of being in a pandemic. Our day-to-day job is considered high risk for a very particular reason: the levels of harm that stress and anxiety play on our bodily systems. Studies over the years have shown that the effects of driving and the stress of the day-to-day operation of urban bus driving is higher than almost any other job. Even back in the 1970s, when the main study I'm focusing on was conducted, only 7% of employees left the companies having reached a pensionable age. In actuality, 25% left upon their own request within the first 4 years. We have seen these numbers come to life in our own turnover rate. 90% of drivers who have high work experience of over 18 years in other fields left the company due to poor health. Of the drivers who started driving at a younger age, under 31, not a single one left the company at a pensionable age. The main conditions reported for leaving employment were disablement related to cardiovascular diseases, the back, tendons, and joints, and psychosomatic disorders. While not surprising to us, the study showed that sickness and absenteeism of bus drivers is significantly higher compared to other professional groups. Here's how the studies break down as it relates to health-related problems and bus drivers. Bus drivers have a higher rate of musculoskeletal disorders as a work-related problem, specifically in the lower back, neck, shoulders, upper part of the back, and knees. We also have a higher rate of strong feelings of fatigue, tension, and mental overload. We have a higher rate of problems in the stomach and intestines. We have a higher rate of sleeping disorders. Bus drivers also have demonstrated a tendency to have higher blood pressure, higher levels of urine adrenaline, and drivers under time pressure have higher cortisol levels. These higher levels are related to increased cardiovascular problems. So it is not unusual that bus drivers report more diseases of the heart and blood vessels than other professional groups. I know much of this can be overwhelming. Add the stress of the job, then the stresses of our everyday lives, and then a pandemic on top of it. I'm really surprised that many of us are still functioning. So we have all of the stress and all these problems. How do we handle it? The studies have provided 3 ways to overcome many of these stressors. The first is to eliminate or modify the stress-producing situation or to remove the individual from it. In our day-to-day lives, this isn't necessarily an option. When the stress is the time constraint of your route, or kids that are acting up continually, other vehicles on the roadway, or various other stressors, it isn't exactly easy to just eliminate the stressor. Next is to adapt the work organization to the individual characteristics of the employee. This would come into play if you needed better back support or other adaptive devices to ensure physical comfort. These things can be managed in most vehicles or switching to a vehicle better suited to you physically. The last option is to strengthen the person's resilience to stress through physical exercise, meditation, relaxation techniques, and social support. I'm going to open up to all of you on exactly why I started researching this and why this became important for me. I have suffered with pretty severe anxiety since I was a teenager. As many of you know, my brain goes at a constant 100 miles per hour and rarely slows down. I thrive on the go, go, go mentality, and I usually continue at that pace until I finally hit a wall. When I'm not super busy, I usually can see the warning signs that I am on the verge of burnout before it happens and can slow myself down. In December of 2019, I was working so hard and so much that I wasn't noticing the warning signs until I had a very nasty and aggressive panic attack at work and ended up off of work, barely functioning for nearly a week. I knew I needed to do something or I would continue to spiral in that pattern. The first thing that happened is when my doctor had my blood test done, my cortisol levels were through the roof. For those that don't know, cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. While high cortisol is common for bus drivers, as I mentioned, it also meant that I was living constantly in a state of stress and anxiety. It was something that could cause serious health complications down the road. So I decided to change my life. For those of you who watch me on Facebook know that I turned to exercise. In the beginning, it wasn't anything major. I used my lunch breaks to take a walk. It got me away from the hustle and the bustle of the yard, got my mind somewhere else, and let me step out of the go, go, go for a little while. Now that I'm largely at home during a pandemic, it has provided me with the same benefit. Anytime I start worrying or panicking over the pandemic, I get up and take a walk or a run or do something else physical, and it helps get my mind off of it. While exercise works for me, it may not work for everyone. What I do want to encourage is for you to find something that works for you, whether it be meditating or doing yoga. Find something that helps you reduce your stress and clears your mind. Right now, more than ever, our health is at the utmost importance. The healthier we stay, the more protected we'll be from being at risk of COVID. So thank you for listening, and thank you for all being so awesome. I'm signing off with love.